YouTube, what's good? Back with another one more again. Today we're going to be reviewing a video of essentially a domestic abuse situation. Young man riding in his vehicle with his woman, presumably having caused a domestic abuse. They looks like they just had an altercation, and this is the aftermath of that altercation. So without any further ado, we'll just get right into it.
What a motherfucker gotta go through. Hard working man. This is what I got. This is what I gotta deal through with somebody like this. Somebody that's disrespectful. You know what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? This is the type of shit you gotta deal with, man, when a motherfucker work hard every motherfucking day.
I work hard every day. I go to
Every
work
motherfucking day.
I pay my own.
Every motherfucking day.
Fucking car note.
Right?
I'm the reason
Every
why you got
motherfucking
that
day.
fucking house.
Yeah, whatever. Oh, you can do that? You can do that? What you mad about,
Pay the
though?
fucking security
What you mad
deposit
about,
for your
though?
fucking place.
What you mad about? What you mad about?
You ain't
This is what I
had
gotta do
no
with.
fucking
So anybody that see this shit, just know this for a
Any
witness.
bitch that come run up on me.
Yeah.
That's hard right there.
Look at
That's
her
hard
ugly
right
ass.
there.
The ugly,
I'm
she's
doing
fat as a
all-
bitch.
Yeah, I'm fat. I'm doing all
Yeah.
this. I'm doing all this.
And she got 3 baby daddies. One of them trying to kill her.
Yeah, and I'm fat and all this shit. Yeah.
One of them trying to
And
kill
all
her.
my baby daddies still trying to marry me. How you doing? How you doing?
I'm
They
done
still
with
trying to
you.
marry
You
me.
already done with
They
it.
still
And
trying.
you bald head
they
as
still-
fuck, so
they
you
still
already
trying
done
to
with it.
marry
Ain't nobody
me.
gonna wanna
They
fuck with you.
still trying to marry me.
All right, so you heard what the young man and the young woman had to say. Normally I would start with the good, but there's nothing good here. Nothing good here, excuse me. I'll start with the young man. A lot of observations. One of the questions that he asked, one of the things that he said that stood out to me was he asked, "Why are you so angry?" Because if you notice, during this whole time, even with the blood leaking from my man's face between his brow line, looks like it's coming from the middle of his nose, and in the midst of the arguing, neither one of the two really established what the argument or the dispute was about, nor why my man is leaking blood from his brow line. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I would have to ask just of this young brother, this young man, why are you with this young lady? Why are you with this woman? Ultimately, for me, it reeks of, and I hate to play armchair psychologist, but we just got to call it what it is. This young brother has low self-esteem. He's probably has insecurities. I mean, we all got insecurities, but it's just a matter how you deal with them. But he has low self-esteem, insecurities, and is probably operating from a scarcity mindset. See, and to any young brothers, any men, period, watching this, I just want you to understand one thing. As a man, if you don't have the proper amount of self-worth, women's self-worth, we're not talking about that. We're just dealing with men for this specific scenario. As a man, if you don't have a proper self-worth, what will happen is, and you don't value yourself, you'll end up being with somebody like this in the video just to say that you have somebody and just so that you won't be alone. It's almost like he's having a revelation. I can't give him too much credit for that, but what I mean is he's kind of having an epiphany while he's talking. You know, one would think though, if it's that much of a revelation, like clearly, brother, you and this chick been going back and forth for a minute now. So again, why are you still with her? Ultimately, though, I gotta put this on the man and on this young brother, because even though he's not the instigator of the situation, clearly, it is still in his control. And as a man, you are expected to control your environment. And if you can't control your environment, then you need to settle. You need to buckle down, focus on yourself until you can control your environment. Because allowing people like this into your space is not going to be healthy for you, and it's not going to be productive in the long term. And it's not going to be productive for your mental health and your inner peace, which should be the biggest thing for a man, especially. Another thing I noticed was that during the argument, the woman mentioned about how she essentially paid the car note. She pays the car note, I guess. She mentioned how she paid, I guess, a deposit on his home, which seems to be true because he didn't dispute it. But another thing, fellas, have your own stuff. Don't live with a woman. Don't drive a woman's car. if you have to, do what you got to do. I'm not, can't tell nobody how to live their life, but essentially what I'm saying is it's best to have your own before dealing with a woman, especially one like this, or just period, because what ends up happening is things get thrown back in your face just like this. Especially if you're a young man, don't worry about women. These women ain't going nowhere. It's not going anywhere, fellas. It's women outnumber men, and they come a dime a dozen. And you don't allow anybody into your space that's not on the same page with you, that's not on the same wavelength, just their mental outlook, disposition wise. I mean, that's just personally how I evaluate things. And as a man, I believe that's how men should evaluate things. So, and he's ultimately he comes across as weak. I won't call him weak, but he comes across that way because you're tolerating this situation ultimately in a situation that you don't gotta tolerate. And then on top of that, you're getting physically abused by a woman. I'm not here to denigrate men because I know that does happen. I think, matter of fact, most men have probably encountered at least one situation like this before, or you've seen another man in a domestic situation. And we know what happens is a lot of times, especially in the black community, it's not talked about a lot at all, but we're gonna tell the truth about it, is because women know that they're the weaker vessel and they know that the law 9 times out of 10 is on their side, they'll do things to essentially poke and prod at the bear, and then once you as a man explode, now you getting the short end of the stick, whether it be by the law, whether it be by outside perceptions and judgments, whether it be by society as a whole, whether it be by all of the above, right? Because we know if the cops show up in this situation, even though he's bleeding from his face, if it's just stated that there was an altercation, a physical altercation, and he was involved, he's going to be removed from the situation. That's how it happens more times than not. And so, as a man, I think he'll be all right. The brother just gotta, I would say he should focus on himself, which is what a lot of men need to do, young and old alike. He'll be all right. He just needs a little bit of guidance and some time to focus on himself, realize his own self-worth, and I think he'll actually be all right. Now, as far as the young woman, and I'm gonna try not to be too scathing in my critique. All right, but we gotta call a spade a spade. She's a scallywag. She's a random skio, a bopper, insert whatever term you want to call her, right? Sorry if some of y'all don't like the terms, but it is what it is, right? This woman has, let's not even start there. Let's start with the fact that she first clearly physically assaulted this man. She's not remorseful. In fact, she's taunting. She's in the back taunting, talking to whoever she's talking to, probably one of her homegirls, taunting him about the situation. And 3, she's not a person that you could probably reconcile with. This is what it's seeming like, right? So even after an altercation, she's not somebody that you would want to come to terms with because she doesn't seem like she's even able to come to terms. So again, goes back to the question I asked in the beginning is why is this young man with her? And it can only be for low self-esteem. As far as why she's with him, there's no telling. She could be just using him. And that's what it seems like. A lot of women let's just call it what it is. Women, they generally monkey branch faster than men. Monkey branch meaning they'll go from relationship to relationship faster. They'll go from one man to another man faster. Right? And then we also know that before a woman exits a relationship, she's already scoping and peeping, and 9 times out of 10 already has the reserve who's going to be next in line already lined up. So with the energy this young woman's giving off, not only does she not respect him, and I have no way of knowing this of what I'm about to say, but I would almost guarantee you she's cheating on him. It got mentioned that she has 3 baby daddies, and one of them tried to kill her. Listen, brothers, if you know of any women, and frankly any men, but particularly in this case, since we're talking about relationships and quote unquote romantic relationships, if you meet a woman who has had any type of physical altercation where lives were threatened, and especially if somebody literally physically tried to take them out, and God forbid if she was the perpetrator of that action, you need to leave right now. Get out of there. Because what that is she is mentally unstable. And she also has deep psychological issues, especially if she hasn't gone to therapy. It's not to mention that there's a lot of men who, in this situation, they wouldn't have been in this situation. And if anybody was going to be hurt and leaking blood from anywhere, it wouldn't have been the man. And say that's right or wrong, whatever, however you want to look at it. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. Because if everybody just keeps their hands to themselves, this world will be a better place. Relationships will be better, and especially in the black community. But we all, again, we know that many times women will instigate a situation. And I don't care who don't like it. I've seen it. I've had one altercation like this myself. Needless to say, it never happened again. So, and again, a lot of us men, we've known other men in situations like this. And again, it's a catch-22. It's a sticky situation because on the one hand, it's like, yeah, you get laughed at if you are the person that is, you are the man in the situation getting abused. That, I mean, a situation that comes to mind is the Bow Wow situation recently. Not even too recent. I guess that was like a couple years back. But the situation where he got scratched up all in his face, and everybody was online, mostly women. Oh, kiki, hee hee, ha ha, laughing about it, calling them names, this, that, and the third. But if the shoe was on the other foot, we all know that. I mean, just look at Chris Brown, right? They demonized him. It's still a wonder that man even never recovered from that. Not to say that I even care about, but just to use those two as examples. You feel what I'm saying? She's radioactive. Women like this are no good. I mean, bro, 3 baby daddies. So she's already, not only is she not respecting you, she has 3 children, at least 3 children. These are just 3 baby daddies. So she could have more children than 3, but she has 3 other men that she constantly has to be tied to, essentially for life, because children are a lifetime investment. You are here in the midst of that with no respect as a man at all, even in your own household. She's very masculine. She carries a very masculine energy, which is what a lot of, let's just, again, call it what it is. A lot of modern women are very masculine. They carry a masculine energy. But these are the last days and times. And so everything, what's good is evil, and what's evil is going to be called good. Things are going to be inversed, or inverted, should I say. So I think the Apostle Paul, I think it's Romans 1:28. I'll look and correct it later. But I think it's Romans 1:28 when the Apostle Paul talks about how the women turned the natural use of themselves against what's against nature, and the men did the same thing. In that specific context, he's speaking about homosexuality and men having relationships with men and women upon women. But he's also, if you go further to that, what's included in that is that the femininity of women and their natural state, their natural disposition, their natural temperament in these last days and times, as we go further and further into the last days and times, women will be more and more masculine, just like you see in here. And it's not just the women; men are more feminine as well. It's not all men, but this is, especially in the black community, we know that these things are true, right? But back to her, masculine women, masculine energy. And here's another thing: is that, and some people, some of y'all not gonna like this, but it is what it is. Feminism has lied to women, and really lied to society as a whole, but it's lied to women, and it's got them to think that they can do everything that a man does. Essentially what they're doing now is competing with men. What happens is a lot of the women, they end up competing with men, and so they end up having and adopting the mindsets of men. And then furthermore, I don't care what anybody says, a woman is not meant to have multiple sexual experiences and interactions with multiple men. Today, these women they're going to hate me saying that, and it just is what it is, but how it stands to saying she's for the streets. But to be more elaborate in that, the reason why is because if we just, not to even be crude here, right? Let's just look at simple anatomy and simple, like how things simply go, right? A woman's orifice is penetrated. The man is the one that does the penetration. So essentially, no matter how much women compete with men, the anatomy will never be what a man's is. And what is the consequence of that? Women, every time a man enters a woman, and especially after prolonged periods, after having specifically intimate relations with her, women begin to adopt and to take on the energy of that man that they're with. Not only just in their personality and their characteristics, but just literally the energy that they carry. This is why multiple women, when they have multiple sexual partners, they can be all over the place. They can be, just completely a mess. And it's because they're not meant to be penetrated like that, in and out, and especially with multiple men. Furthermore, studies have shown that the more sexual partners a woman has, the less that she's able to emotionally pair bond with a man. And going figures, because she's taken on all of this energy from all of these men and all of these different personality traits, and taking so much. And then also the DNA that's swimming inside. I mean, she's got a couple men DNA swimming up inside her head. It's probably making her crazy, right? But no, in all seriousness, this woman is a prime example of everything I'm talking about. She has clearly, she hasn't paired bonded with this man. Maybe she just don't respect him, but I would venture to say that clearly you can see in her actions, she's probably not really much the loyal type. You know what I mean? But that's what ends up happening. So, the end of the day, I think the young man will be all right. This woman, Yah bless her. I hope she comes to her senses and does a complete detox of everything, every man, the situation in her life. She settles down, is able to actually focus on the things that are significant and important. So I hope y'all were able to get the message. Brothers, you don't have to settle for leftovers. You don't have to raise another man's kid that wasn't your own. You don't have to be the butt end of the joke just because society makes it out to be that way a lot of the time. I'm here to tell you personally, you don't have to do that. And as far as, listen, women, I don't got much for you. Don't be like her, especially in the black community. We already suffering so much as it is, just because there's a deep psychological trauma and issue rooted in our people, as we can already see. And a lot of the things such as sexuality, relationships, intimacy, different things like that in life, a lot of us were never really told how to manage, and never really taught how to manage and function, and especially our women, so ultimately what brothers got to understand is that women now, women are not the delicate flowers that you may have been led to believe coming up, especially not these modern women. And you have to move accordingly. You have to be able to vet, and you have to have standards. Otherwise, you can end up in situations like this. So that's pretty much all I have to say about that. Let me know what you think. If you want to comment, feel free to comment, like, comment, subscribe. If you feel led to, please share the video. And more videos coming soon. I'll get back with y'all later. Peace.